The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Now, the time came for Elizabeth to give birth, and she bore a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown his great mercy to her, and they rejoiced with her. On the 8th day, they came to circumcise the child, and they were going to name him Zachariah, after his father. But his father said, his mother said, "No, he is to be called John." They said to her, "None of your relatives has this name." Then they began motioning to his father to find out what name he wanted to give him. He asked for a writing tablet and wrote, "His name is John." And all of them were amazed. Immediately, his mouth was opened and his tongue freed, and he began to speak, praising God. For fear came over all their neighbors, and all these things were talked about throughout the entire hill country of Judea. All who heard them pondered them and said, "What then will this child become?" For indeed, the hand of the Lord was with him. The Gospel of the Lord. Today's Gospel concerns the birth of John the Baptist. Precisely, it concerns the name that have been given to him. The question was, all the members of the family and people who knew very well the family, they was expecting to see that this child will be named after his father, as it was done in the past. But curiously, the family refused. They said, "No, this child will be named John." Why? Because that name came for the angel, came from God. And in the Bible, the name given to a child is full of meanings. And the name of John wanted to tell us that he wanted, at the very beginning, to start preparing the coming of the Messiah. But to talk about the name, I think it is a way to understand, I would say, each one of us as people who have been baptized. I remember when I was a child, very young, maybe I was the youngest of the family at that time, I asked this question to my mother. I say, "Mom, I don't know how you come to know when I was born that my name was Jacques. How did you know?" And all the parents, when they got children, how do they know the name of the child when he comes? my mother say, when a child is born, it comes with a label with the name of the child. I say, that's the way it is. When I'm thinking about the gospel of the day, and when I go also in the Bible, talking about the children, I would say the miraculous birth in the Bible, we'll see that the name of a child comes always from God. So I said to myself, really, as baptized, you and me, we have the same name. You know that there are some culture, in French or in English, we say, this is my first name, this is my family name, which is good. Some cultures, they say, this is my first name, okay, but the other name, it comes from inside. It is a name that comes deep in myself. So meaning that name says exactly who you are. What are your expectations? Where are you going to? It seems to me that as Christians, you and me, we have the same name. And that came from the Lord. That name is Christians. Because to be named Christian, it means that in this room, the root of the name Christians, there is Christ. Christian is the followers of Christ. Christians are the one who try to fill out, to continue the mission of Christ. Christians are the ones who are called to show the path that go to God. Christian cannot live without Christ. Christian can never say things or do some actions without a reference to Christ himself. So your name and my name, which is very deep in ourselves, it is Christian, that we belong to Christ. We have the same name as Jesus Christ. We have the same name as Christ, meaning that what we said, it is about salvation, love, or welcoming people, and also to be there always for service for others. So I will say, through this Mass, we'll ask something special. Each one of us, when we were born, an angel was called, was sent to your mom, to your dad, to have a special name. The name is deep in you. That name is related to Christ. As we celebrate this Mass today, let us ask that as we are preparing our heart to receive the baby Jesus who is about to be born in our heart, let us ask him to continue to teach us how to continue following his path, and that when he comes, he is born in our heart, that he start to grow up in our heart, in the way that what we'll be saying, what we'll be doing, will be just the reflector of this child, that Christ will be born in our heart. Amen.